Hey, it's Wellness Wednesday. Wellness Wednesday. Mm, mm. How y'all doing? I hope you're feeling fine. As y'all can see, I'm back in the studio one more time. I'm moving, and so I came back to Atlanta to get my things and go. So I decided to do Wellness Wednesdays with the backdrop. Hopefully I'll be moving into Columbia, but we'll see how that works. How you guys doing today? I am super grateful today because it's Wednesday and I woke up. And I have been reading a lot lately, if you guys can't tell. This is the book I've been on. Excuse me. This is the book I've been on, and it talks about agreements. And I wanted to, in detail, go into how specifically the agreements we make in our life directly affect our health and change the outlook of our health journey, especially when we're not conscious of our agreements, which I don't know. I say most of us are not conscious of our agreements because it's really a hard thing to be conscious of because we make so many agreements when we're little, when we're children, and we don't necessarily know what they are because in order to be domesticated, we as humans are domesticated just like animals. So you only have a reference for what is good and bad because your parents decided to domesticate you. And give me 1 second because I said I was going to be better at this. And I'm going to share Wellness Wednesdays. Wellness Wednesdays. I said everyone keeps telling me how they never catch Wellness Wednesday, so I'm posting it because I gotta share the goodness of the Lord. All right, so when we are babies, we actually have agreements that our parents give to us, and we actually take them on and agree to them. Now, when you're a child, it's very easy to do this because you don't know no better. But we take these agreements and we carry them throughout our lives, and they are the basis of our beliefs. And if you know anything about habits and actions, they're directly related to your actual belief system. So every letter and every word in every language is an agreement. The words that you speak are a direct correlation of the agreements that you have with yourself. So that's why affirmations are so dope, because if every day you wake up and you're like, I am loved, I am loved, I am loved, that is an agreement you're making with yourself. So the only way to store information in our mind is by having an agreement. And as soon as we agree to something, it turns into a belief. And if you know anything about beliefs, our beliefs are our faith system. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So faith is something that you believe in unconditionally. Like, no matter if the wind is blowing outside or it's rainy or it's sunshiny, you have faith in your beliefs. Like, your belief is exactly your system, and you have faith in it because you don't know any different. So here we can see how these agreements that we have, the words that we speak, the letters, and the constant chatter that we have in our brain, it shifts into how we act in this world. So I wanted to read you guys from this book really quick. And this goes back to what I was talking about with domestication, as far as our parents domesticating us to live into this world, how they perceive the world and through their agreements. And let me just read it. So, in human domestication, the information from the outside dream is conveyed to the inside dream, and it creates our whole belief system. We train our children with a system of punishment and reward. Soon, we become afraid of being punished and also afraid of not receiving rewards. We soon develop a need to hook other people's attention in order to get rewards. The fear of being rejected becomes the fear of not being good enough. Eventually, we become someone that we are not. We become a copy of our mom's beliefs, our dad's beliefs, society's beliefs, and our religion's beliefs. And sometimes we choose to rebel because we are defending our freedom to be ourselves. We are so well trained that we become our own domesticator, meaning we're auto-domesticated animals. Now we domesticate ourselves according to the same belief system that we are giving, and using the same system of punishment and reward, we punish ourselves when we do not follow the rules according to our belief system. We reward ourselves when we are good boys or good girls. And this very belief system looks like a book of laws in our mind. How powerful is that? So, if you can begin to understand how you are domesticated with your parents, through society, through religions, through everyone else's beliefs, to believe this system, and you take it on as yours, and then you start to act like it, there are things in our lives that we are literally unconsciously taking part of that are not us. They don't bring us happiness, they don't bring us fulfillment, but because we've been domesticated and we have taken on these agreements, unbeknownst to us, because I don't believe that agreements as children are conscious. There's something you're beat into. Like it says, it's just like a dog. If you beat a dog good enough, it will learn not to pee on the floor. And it doesn't matter if the floor feels good to the dog or not. You don't want the dog to be on your floor. So it doesn't matter if they feel like they should pee on the floor or outside. You domesticate them to go outside. And that's how we are as children. I have the water of the coconut. So, as we talk through this, it's easy to see how the agreements that we've made with ourselves through our parents, our society, and religious school beliefs, how they can directly affect our journey in health. So I want to go through 3 ways that specifically the agreements you have made in your life are affecting your health right now. The first one, y'all already know, is your eating habits. Eating habits are ripping generations to shreds, health journeys to shreds, because a lot of things in our society now, we're like, okay, well, this is genetic. All right. So diabetes is genetic, cancer is genetic. All these things are genetic. All of these diseases, genetic. We just put them on genetics. Understand that the way that you perceive food in life is a direct correlation in the agreement that you have made with yourself through the beliefs of someone else. So if your mom and your dad are like, you need milk in order to have strong bones, that's their belief system, right? And if they tell you that growing up over and over and over, no matter if you get a stomach ache or a headache, or maybe you get constipated, that you can bypass that in order to be within their belief system. Why? Because there has been a system in place of reward and punishment in most cases. Now, the day and age that we're in now, I do believe that there is more of, and sometimes too much more of, a freedom that our children experience in their lives because we're in a digital information age. I'm 31. Am I 32? 2008. I'm 32. I've been losing track of my age since 30, y'all. It's crazy. So I'm 32, and there was not all of this like, oh, you have something to say about what you're eating today, or oh, you want to talk about your feelings. There wasn't all of that. So we have to consider generations, of course, but most of us who are tuning in our age bracket, we come through a society where we're given something to eat and we're told like, hey, you got to eat that. And through this domestication system, we learn what's nutritious for us and what's not. We learn what's appropriate to eat and what's not. And what happens if you denounce that or change it, you're punished for it, and it doesn't feel good. So we blindly make an agreement to our family's eating habits, even if it goes against our body, our life, our minds. And a lot of these agreements are the very thing that is causing trouble in our body. It causes us not to have the best sleep. It causes brain fog. It could cause upset stomachs. It could cause downright, what do you call it? Allergic reactions. It can cause allergic reactions. And the crazy thing about the body is so intricate, and I love the body so much. You can be allergic to something and you can feel it once, maybe twice. But if you keep eating it, sometimes, a lot of the times, your body will recalibrate to it. It'll still chop and screw things in your body, and things won't go right, but maybe you won't get the itch. Maybe you'll just get a little gas. And let's be honest, we think gas is normal, but it's not. So through this process, if you try to go against the grain and you're like, okay, look, I'm not eating crab legs anymore. And I'm talking about this through a lens that I'm very familiar with, okay? I have 3 families. I've been so blessed to have 3 families, and I love them all dearly. But the reactions to my diet change has been very different across all 3 boards, okay? And when I decided to change my eating habits, I can tell you right now that people took it personally. People in my family took it personally because I was rebelling to reclaim my freedom in how I lived. And people were like, oh, you don't want to live like us anymore? You're breaking the agreement that we have going on over here? Because know that if your mom, your father, your grandma, your grandfather, your great-grandparents, your great-great-grandparents, if they had a certain way of eating and living, that is literally the fibers of the culture that is within your family. And when you take it so far as to say, I reject that. I'm not eating pork anymore. I'm not eating chicken, even though my favorite meal from my great-grandma is homemade chicken and dumplings. I'm not eating chicken no more. You are literally, in a lot of ways, denouncing the culture of your family. And although it has nothing to do with anyone else but you, people, another agreement that they have with themselves is to take things personally. So this is one of the reasons why it is so hard to change your eating habits. It is so difficult sometimes to change your eating habits because You're literally denouncing the culture of the people who came before you. So this small agreement of how I eat, having the agreement is changing the trajectory of your health journey. And changing the agreement will literally change the trajectory of your health for life. My final decision of changing the trajectory of my eating habits, and I'm not proud to say this because sometimes I think what if, but I also know that it's counterproductive to my healing. My father transcended. And when he passed, I was like, if I don't change my agreement, then I'll be where he is. And I knew I had to change it. And I've gotten backlash from it. I've gotten support from it. I've gotten interest in it. I've had to sit through family meals where I have absolutely nothing to eat. And I had to drink on my water and be called crazy. I've had to be in situations with my family where they denounce me in the family because I am like this. I've been in a lot of situations, but now that I understand why, it's because of the agreements. It makes so much more sense, and it makes it feel lighter, and it makes me feel like not only am I rebelling, but I'm rebelling for purpose because I don't want my children having that same agreement. So number 2, the second way that the agreements that you are making with yourself is changing the journey that you have in health is literally with your mindset. And go with me for a minute because maybe this will sound redundant because it is. It works the exact same. You have been taught to have a certain mindset. You've been taught maybe that a 9 to 5 is the only way you can find success. Maybe sports are the only way you could find success. And I'm not speaking against any of it. I think sports are a wonderful way to have a career if you love that. And I love all 9 to 5 workers who love their job. If you don't love your job, then you do not count in that. Then you have to find your purpose. And well, you don't have to do anything, but I would love if you were to find your purpose, live out your purpose, and find a job that you love and that you want to go to every day. I don't believe entrepreneurship is for everyone, and it's not, because if I'm going to sit here and be an entrepreneur, guess who's going to need people to work for me? So that's that. But there's a mindset that you have been taught, okay? Like maybe you've been taught that 6 figures is successful. And once you get 6 figures, you'll be good, and that's how you live your life. But when you make an agreement with your mindset, you're literally putting limits on your life from someone else, because we all have different ideas and mindsets towards things. You might be okay with making $250,000 a year. And that's your mindset. And that's okay. That is okay. There's nothing wrong with how you think about life. I know that in my life, I want to make multiple millions. I want to say billions, but my mindset's not there. Or maybe I'll just say it out loud. I want to make billions. I know that there's no cap, right? I want to impact so many people that my pockets stop counting for it. And this is just because my mindset is that the more people I impact, my money grows. And that's something I don't have to watch. It just happens. But I am so very passionate about impacting, especially my community, because I know that the dark hole that I came from and where I'm at now, I know that everyone can reach it. Everyone can be here. And I'm gonna make it happen. I just know it. And so that's my mindset. And we can have 2 different mindsets, and that's okay. But what's not okay is if someone else puts a mindset and domesticates you in it, and you agree to it, and you take it as your own, and then you're like, that's your mindset. That literally is stunting your growth. I used to think that I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. I used to think that entrepreneurship was too much, and it was too much responsibility and not enough reward, because I didn't know any 7-figure entrepreneurs. And I always thought, well, if you're a 6-figure entrepreneur, then you can just work a job and then you don't have to decide things, right? So that was my mindset. And the only reason why is because I was domesticated to think so. My environment growing up, well, funny enough, my environment growing up was actually full of entrepreneurs and full of people who were very successful, but I had no idea because my mindset was that success was 6 figures. So I never thought like I knew people around me who made any more than that. And again, that was because I couldn't conceive it. I had a cap and a limit to the mindset that I was domesticated in. TD Jakes said this amazingly, and I love, love, love this. I probably mentioned it on here before because I mention it all the time. But TD Jakes said it best. He said that the job of a parent is to raise a child who is expanded more than them. So if you think about what that really means, that means that you have 2 parents. And maybe one of your parents is 3 gallons, and maybe you have a 5-gallon parent, right? So together, when they came together, they got 8 whole gallons. And they're like, yes, I'm going to give my child all these 8 gallons. I'm going to give them everything I have. Baby, you got it. But what happens if you're a 10-gallon child? What if your parents give you all the gallons that they have, everything they know? Everything they know, their mindset, their eating habits, they're giving it all to you. And you are an expansion of them. Therefore, the gallons are not going to fill you up. That's what happens with mindset. You're a 10-gallon child and you have 8-gallon parents. They're giving you the mindset of 8 gallons. But you're not an 8-gallon child. You're a 10-gallon child. So in order to connect to your purpose-driven life, you have to expand your mindset to 10 gallons. And again, the only way to do that is to make a different agreement with yourself. You can no longer live your life on the agreement of your 8-gallon parents. You can give proper thanks, have so much gratitude for all of the love that they were giving you and are giving you, no matter where your parents are, if they're in heaven, if they're on this earth, if they are on the side corner and cracked out, they are giving you love. That's a perception thing. Maybe we can talk about that later, but know that you're here and they could have killed your ass. So I always like to point that out because we have to give our parents so much more grace, y'all. So much more grace. I don't care what they did to you. You got to give them grace because whatever they did to you, it's so likely that their parents did worse to them. You can take that or leave it. But you push past the gallons in order to get into your life and have your agreements. And the only way to do that, the only way to change your current agreement is to make a new one and make that your truth. To believe so unconditionally in the faith of your new agreement. It's the only way to change it. So that's number 2 in how your current agreements are changing your health journey. So number 1 was your eating habits. Number 2 is your mindset. Number 3 is your relationships and your empathy. Lord, can we pass around a collection plate? Ooh, I might need some water. Your relationships and your empathy. Now, I would do you a disservice if I only talked about relationships and empathy towards other people, because we both have to start. We always have to start with yourself. You have been domesticated to have a certain relationship with yourself and a certain amount of empathy for yourself. Now, if you were taught to think, oh, I'm fat, oh, I'm stupid, oh, I never finish anything, then you have been domesticated to think that your relationship with yourself is piss poor and you should have no empathy for anything that you're doing. Now, that is going to not only affect your relationship with yourself, but it is going to affect your relationship with others. Why, you ask? Because if you can't have empathy for yourself, you cannot have empathy for anyone else. The relationship that you have with yourself is a direct relationship that you have with other people. So watch yourself. When you go out today and you see somebody walking down the street, do you have any thoughts of them? If you do, what are they? Because if they're your first thoughts of them is, dang, look at what she wearing. Ooh, look at what he look like. Ooh, look at what he driving. He can't talk to me. Ooh, look at her hair. Those are the thoughts you are having to yourself, my love. You have no empathy to yourself, and you constantly go through your life and you judge yourself. Your relationship with yourself is in direct correlation of the agreements that you have with yourself. If you grew up and your mommy called you fat all the time, you probably have a relationship with yourself that says you are fat. That's your agreement. And if you have an agreement with yourself that says you are anything other than the precious angel that you are, because we all are, then you are living out that agreement every day. And what that means is that you are not loving yourself, and therefore you cannot be loved and you cannot love other people. Now, we can have relationships with people and we can tell them we love them and we can act like we love them. But if you do not have an agreement with yourself to love yourself, you cannot make an agreement with anyone else to love them. And so this plays out in your health because and this goes back to what you allow to be done to your body and what you are doing to your body, whether it's through eating, working out, and movement. If you sit on the couch and binge watch TV all day and you never get moving, you have an agreement with yourself that you're not worthy enough to be healthy. If you don't drink water, you have an agreement with yourself. Maybe that water doesn't taste good, but also we all know we need water. So you also have an agreement with yourself that you're not worthy enough to live a life where you're hydrated and your body feels good and your kidneys aren't fucked up. So these agreements that we have with ourselves, they shape every single part of our health journey. I just wanted to touch on 3. That relationship though, we have agreements to take things personally. When our mom does something to us, our dad does something to us, we take it personal, and nothing in this life is made to be personal at all. And that is one of the biggest shifts you can have with having a better relationship with yourself and changing the agreements you have with yourself. If someone tells you something, whether it's negative or positive, someone can come up and be like, oh, you're the greatest person ever. Thank you, but I'm not taking that personal because I don't need you to validate who I am. I understand that I am awesome. Thanks. You know? So there's a difference in how personal we take things, but there's no difference in it being positive or negative. You leave both at the table. You don't take anything personally. And that's really how you start to shift the agreements you have with yourself and bring more empathy into your life. All right. So again, the agreements that we have with ourselves are shaping our health journey every day. And just 3, y'all, this is the tip top of the iceberg. But our eating habits, our mindset, and the relationship and empathy we have with ourselves and others are some of, I hate to say some of the biggest ways because they're all so major, but I hope I was able to give you some insight into how your domestication and your agreements is changing your health journey. And by changing these things and making new agreements with yourself, I'm telling you guys, it'll be easier to be healthy. If you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to have mental blocks that you have clear up, this is the way to start. Make new agreements with yourself. Love yourself, have empathy for yourself. Get to a place where your mindset is freeing yourself and not keeping you in bondage, and get eating habits that feed your mind, body, and soul. All right. Thank you guys for joining me this Wednesday on Wellness Wednesdays, and I will see you next week at the same time and in a different place. Thank you guys so much. Love ya.